welcome to the Delta TV News at 8. I am Deborah Uwadogo. The Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, has publicly criticized those opposing the Bola Tinubu administration's decision to relocate some departments and units of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, and Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAAN, headquarters, Abuja. Vice President Shettima, who said the move was for the overall interest of Nigerians, stated this at the Sir Ahmadu Bello 10th Anniversary Memorial Lecture at Maiduguri, Borno State. He reassured the people of the North that the current administration will not make any policy or decision that would be sectional or at the detriment of some geographical location of the nation. The country's second citizen urged those opposing the relocation process of some of the departments to desist or else will be declared as mischief makers. The VP was represented by his special advisor on political matters, Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed, at this event with the team creating pathways for peace, tackling banditry and insurgency through good governance and sustainable development in the country. Delta State has won the Safest State Award for oil and gas investments in the country at the Nigeria Oil and Gas Forum and Award Night. The award ceremony, organized by Ms. Nasfisa Aliyu Haruna and sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources, held at the International Conference Center, Abuja, on Friday night. Presenting the award, Ms. Haruna said Delta State had contributed immensely to increased oil and gas production in Nigeria, adding that the state emerged first from the opinion poll carried out within the industry as the safest in the oil and gas sector in Nigeria. Receiving the award, the state governor, Honorable Sheriff Oboriwori, thanked the organizers for the recognition, saying the state government remained irrevocably committed to ensuring peace and sustainable development of the state. Governor Oboriwori, who was represented by the Commissioner for Oil and Gas, Olorogu Vincent Oyibode, dedicated the award to God and to Deltans whose mandate, he said, was reaffirmed by the Supreme Court last week Friday. The governor stated that the achievement of peace in Delta State, particularly in the oil and gas sector, was the testament to the implementation of the MORE agenda of his administration. He added that in implementing the MORE agenda, the government awarded roads and brought the Julius Berger Construction Company to construct 3 flyovers, Cloverleaf, pedestrian bridges and road expansion at the cost of 78 billion naira. Governor Bodiwari said he also approved the payment of promotion arrears to civil servants to over 5 billion naira, the time of payment, as well as the 40 billion naira pension arrears to local government workers and primary school teachers. He listed other projects of his administration to include the reconstruction of Uti Road, Efun, rehabilitation of failed portions of PTI Road, Efun, rehabilitation of Old Abraka Umutu Road, completion of lecture halls, auditoriums, and administrative block at the Dennis Osadebe University, Asaba. The governor said against the background of the listed projects, among others, the people of Delta State now had trust and confidence in the government, hence the peace being enjoyed in the oil and gas sector. Meanwhile, the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Honorable Imamoti Miguel, has said the emergence of Delta State as the safest in Nigeria for oil and gas investment is another milestone in government's drive for sustainable peace, security, and good governance in the state. Honorable Guo, who was reacting to Friday's night's presentation of award to Delta State as the safest in oil and gas investment, said the PDP-led administration in the state had always shown interest in ensuring that multinationals operating in the state carried out their businesses in a friendly atmosphere. The Speaker, in a statement by his chief press secretary, Mr. Nkem Oeke, said the award did not come as a surprise as it was a reflection of the reality on ground in the state. While acknowledging the state's immense contribution in oil and gas industry in Nigeria, the Speaker noted that it was gratifying that Delta State topped the list from the opinion poll carried out within the industry as the safest in the oil and gas investment in Nigeria. According to the Speaker, the result, which was announced during the Nigeria Oil and Gas Forum and Award Night, sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources in Abuja, would be sustained as the government was not relenting in its efforts as securing all parts of the state to attract both local and foreign investors. He commended the organizers of the event for the awards, even as he congratulated Governor Sharif Uboriwori for yet another milestone by his people's-oriented administration in the state. Honorable Goa also paid glowing tributes to oil and gas host communities in the state for creating enabling environment for the recorded growth in the sector, stressing that much would be achieved in an atmosphere of peace and harmony amongst all stakeholders. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, Honorable Ekperikpi Ekpo, has stated that President Bola Tinubu was committed to supporting private sector investments aimed at utilizing the gas potential crucial for national development. In a meeting with officials from the Brass Petrochemical and Gas Project, slated for Bayelsa State, Honorable Ekpo, alongside its Managing Director, Chief Ben Okoye, emphasized the importance of the project to the nation's economy and the people. The minister urged the management of gas producer, SPDC JV, to collaborate closely with the promoters of the Brass Petrochemical and Gas Project for a seamless gas supply in line with President Bola Tinubu's vision to propel gas-centric investments, commercialization, and industrialization initiatives. He assured that once approval is secured from the Brass Petrochemical Board, operations will commence by March this year, with full project completion anticipated by the first quarter of 2027. The MD, Brass Petrochemicals and Gas, Chief Okoye, highlighted that gas pipelines have been designed for expansion from Train 1 to Train 3 and beyond, contingent upon gas availability. Although the initial capacity for the gas plant will be 340 million standard cubic feet, Chief Okoye noted that the pipeline is designed to accommodate up to 980 mm. Believers have been charged to cultivate the habit of praying and thanking God always. The presiding bishop of the Grace and Progress Family Chapel, Asaba, gave the charge in his sermon at today's service. Henry Noah reports.
Bishop Agwebo, in his sermon drawn from Isaiah chapter 65 verses 21 to 23, said God's love for mankind was without measure, as he wanted his children to enjoy good health, long life, and prosperity. He enjoined believers not to underestimate the power of prayer and thanksgiving to God, while listing some prayer boosters to include broken and contrite spirit, respect and the right standing with God, also fasting and prayer. The service featured special choral renditions and thanksgiving by members of the Administrative Officers Forum for a successful year and a successful retirement of two permanent secretaries, Sir Edwin Ogidigbe Baje and Comrade Samuel Diateke. At a reception for guests, the state head of service, Mr. Reginald Bayoko, in his remarks, said the essence of the Thanksgiving service by the forum was to appreciate God for his numerous blessings on civil servants, including the two retirees, whom he said had distinguished themselves by successfully completing their career journey with the state civil service. Mr. Bayoko enjoined senior officers in the state civil service to distinguish themselves from their subordinates by living lives worthy of emulation.
Today is not just a day to commemorate our collective journey and achievements, but also an opportunity for us, as have been very well laid out earlier on, to pay homage to the distinguished career of two venerated permanent secretaries in the person of Sir Ogidigbe Baje and Comrade Sam Diateke, who have been past chairmen of this forum. The legacies of our retiring leaders should serve as a clarion call to elevate our service to reach new horizons of excellence and impact.
Others who spoke described the two permanent secretaries retired as men with true leadership qualities. The occasion featured the decoration of Mrs. Stella Itoka as the Dean of the Forum by the State Head of Service, Mr. Reginald Bayoko, and the presentation of souvenirs to the retirees who thanked their colleagues who supported their growth while in service.
It was not a bed of roses though. We had our ups and downs from Benin to Asaba, and while in the service in Delta State, it was not an easy ride.
In attendance were top government functionaries. Henry Onogwa reporting.
It is good that men always praise and thank God for his goodness and for his wonderful works towards mankind. Proclaiming the charge of the psalmist in Psalm 107, the minister in charge of the Asaba zone of the God's Kingdom Society, GKS Worldwide, Brother Eseogene Ikiriwo, said the goodness of God, especially to those who served him, was unquantifiable. Violet Moyin reports.
Brother Ekirigo listed the kind acts of God towards his children to include preservation, protection from all forms of evil, deliverance, healing, provision, and the power to get wealth, adding that they were more than could be numbered. The cleric explained that if God were to mark transgressions, nobody would be left out, but that God was merciful, as he had no desire for anyone to perish, but that all should come to repentance. He charged the people to therefore turn from anything not pleasing in the sight of God and reciprocate his goodness and mercies by genuine and faithful service to him in spirit and in truth.
God is giving the wicked time to realize their errors, one, repent of their sins, two, and retrace their steps back to God. So you can see that the goodness of God that is being enjoyed by one and all is to make us sit back, ponder over our ways, and discontinue or run away from anything what we are doing that is wrong, whether in the daylight or publicly or even secretly.
The service featured special choral renditions in praise and thanks to God. There was also a special thanksgiving in appreciation of God's goodness on the members individually and as the body of Christ in the past year.
We ought to give thanks to God in appreciation of his goodness towards us.
The importance of thanksgiving can never be emphasized. The goodness of God is numerous. It's uncountable. We can't say all.
Violet Moye reporting.
Of Works, Senator David Umar, said President Bola Tinubu has had sleepless nights finding solutions to the inherited bad economy. Senator Umar said this yesterday while inspecting a project in Aba. He said President Tinubu was having nightmares about how to deal with the barrage of problems created by the bad economy. Meanwhile, the minister has ordered the immediate arrest of some recalcitrant traders plying their trade on the completed section of the Aba axis of the Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway, being currently under reconstruction. Senator Omari, who expressed his dissatisfaction with the activities of the street traders, regretted that while the president was making efforts to fix the country, some residents were busy compounding the situation. The minister directed the security operatives attached to his motorcade to arrest the traders. The enraged minister said that the erring traders would be prosecuted for economic sabotage. He noted that the traders showed no respect for the project, noting that the road had been in dilapidated condition for years. The works minister advised the Abia State government to set up a task force to enforce environmental laws, expressing satisfaction with the job done by the Arab contractors handling the project. The minister called on Nigerians to support the president to deliver on his electoral promises. He attributed delays in the project awarded about 10 years ago to the high cost of construction materials and advocated the use of cement technology, which according to him was cheaper and more durable. Also, Senator David Umahi has ordered the immediate stoppage of ongoing reconstruction work at the LMA section of the East-West Road in Rivers State over the alleged sharp practices of the contractor handling the project. Senator Umahi noted this after 3 months after the federal Senator Umahi noted this about 3 months after the federal government, through the Federal Ministry of Works, mobilized the contractors Reynolds Construction Company (RCC) to immediately commence work on the road. He gave the order yesterday during a project inspection of the East-West Road in Port Harcourt. The Works Minister, accompanied by Barry Mingbi, the senator representing Rivers South East, said the project should stop pending when the irregularities observed in the project were resolved. The minister revealed that RCC had been paid 33 billion naira, noting that the Federal Ministry of Works under his watch would resist any attempts to shortchange the country. The Public Petitions Committee of the State House of Assembly has invited parties involved in a land trespass dispute to appear before it on Wednesday this week from noon. The affected individuals and groups are to respond to a petition by the Delta Public Service Workers Multipurpose Cooperative Union Limited, the umbrella body of all multipurpose cooperative societies in the state, on behalf of the Direct Labor Agency DLA Multipurpose Cooperative Society Limited, the Customary Court of Appeal Multipurpose Society Limited, and the Civil Service Commission Multipurpose Cooperative Society Limited. A statement signed by Dr. Stephen Uche Okolo for the clerk of the House lists those who appear before the committee as Chief Chiedu Wanwolo, Mr. Augustine Okolo, Mr. Lucky Okoro, Mr. Onoche Wanze, Mr. Emmanuel Akaolisia, and all of the Ogbesadi family of Ogbodogugu quarters of Okpanam, Oshimiri North Local Government Area. Also to appear before the Public Petitions Committee are Mr. Paul Ogbeche, Mr. Friday Okonkwo, Chief Dominic Anyansi, all of Amacha Community, Okpanam, Mr. E.A. Goody of Idumu Neta Quarters, Umudiagbo, Achala, Ibuzo, and the President of the Delta Public Service Workers Multipurpose Cooperative Union Limited. The venue of the meeting is the Press Center of the State Assembly Complex at Sabah. The allegation of oil theft leveled against the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, the federal government has promised to investigate the claims against the naval chief. This was as a coalition of concerned Nigerians petitioned President Bola Tinubu to investigate allegations of large-scale corruption against the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala. The Minister of Defense for States, Mr. Bello Matawele, yesterday hinted that President Bola Tinubu had zero tolerance for corruption in the public service. The Minister of Defense for State, Dr. Bello Matawala, yesterday hinted that President Bola Tinubu had zero tolerance for corruption in the public service. Dr. Matawala was responding to reports alleging that the naval chief's involvement in facilitating an unorganized bunkering of Nigerian crude and a multi-million naira contract splitting fund. Vice Admiral Ogala in the report was also accused of releasing several oil tankers impounded for transporting stolen crude oil off Nigerian shores after receiving kickbacks in millions of dollars. It added that preliminary investigations estimated Vice Admiral Ogala, who was appointed by the President on June 19, 2023, had accepted over $170 million in bribes in the past 6 months. Reports noted that the log records and videos it reviewed showed several instances between September 2023 and January 2024 when the Nigerian Navy dispatched gunboats of personnel to supervise the loading of stolen crude of about 4 vessels. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Navy has described the allegations against the Chief of Naval Staff, CNS, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, as false, untenable, and baseless. This is coming as the Minister of State for Defense, Mr. Bello Matawale, has pledged to investigate the allegations of corruption against the naval chief, stressing also that the allegations may be mischievous and frivolous. An online report had accused the naval chief of releasing several oil tankers impounded for transporting stolen crude oil off Nigerian shores after receiving kickbacks in millions of dollars. The Nigerian Navy, in a statement signed by its Director for Information, Rear Admiral Adetuntu Ayo, denied the allegations against Vice Admiral Ogala, stressing that the CNS had no business with oil bunkering contract awards. The statement said the arrested vessels mentioned in the report were involved in crude oil theft and illegal oil bunkering, clarifying that they had not been released as alleged. The statement urged the public to completely disregard the malicious publication as it was untrue, completely baseless, and a figment of the shallow imagination of the writer, his publishers, and their unpatriotic sponsors. The National Association of Nigerian Students, NAS, has urged President Bola Tinubu to prioritize the security of lives and properties of the citizens. Its Senate President, Mr. Elvis Ekudina, made the call at a news conference in Abeokuta, noting that it was important for the students' body to lend its voice on the state of the nation. He called on the president to find a lasting solution to the security challenges ranging from kidnapping, attacks by bandits, and attacks on security men. He said the recent attack in some villages in Plateau State, where innocent citizens were killed, remained worrisome, adding that there was need for security agencies in the country to strengthen their intelligence gathering to detect future attacks. Mr. Ekudina promised that Nigerian students would give maximum support to the government to achieve its set objective. Still to come, the United Nations Secretary vows to sanction any UN employee involved in terrorism. Details of this and more when we come back. Please stay with us.
Where is Glory?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Glow! Where Glow now?
Are they here?
Glow don't go village. Tell all our customer abi.
Everybody pay attention. See, now Glow Berekete X. Now him might they take tension my customers. Now he dash me 10 times the credits when I load. Or even summer me double data join.
Yeah?
Yes.
Wait, so with 1.5 when they give all of us, so you they enjoy up to
15,000 naira credit and data.
And I say I never finish you. See, now say if we enjoy, if we not join Glow Berekete 10X, una go get 1,000 naira welcome credit. Finish.
Glow, you don't win.
Una see they here. Hello, please, I'm looking for Glow. Please save now Glow be dey fine. Now Glow be dey go. Okay, so
enjoy 10 times the value of your recharge on Glow Berekete 10X. You also get 1,000 naira for calls and data and double data bonus on your subscription.
Glad to know you're still there. The global scene is next as we join our world news desk.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has vowed to hold to account any UN employee involved in acts of terror after allegations that some refugee agency staffers were involved in October 7th Hamas attack on Israel. Mr. Guterres implored government to continue supporting the UN Refugee Agency for Palestinians UNRWA after 9 countries paused funding. He said UN employees involved in acts of terror will be held accountable through criminal prosecution. The UN's chief staff, in a statement, said the Secretariat is ready to cooperate with a competent authority to prosecute the individuals in line with the Secretariat's normal procedures for such cooperation. At the same time, he said thousands of men and women who work for UNRWA were mostly in dangerous situations as humanitarian workers should not be penalized. The dire needs of the desperate population they serve must be met. In his first direct comment on the issue, the UN chief gave details about the UNRWA staffers implicated in the abhorrent alleged acts. Of the 12 implicated, he said 9 had been terminated, 1 was confirmed dead, and the identities of the other 2 were being clarified. 1 person has been killed in an attack by masked gunmen at a Catholic church in Istanbul. Report says the shooting happened at the Church of Santa Maria during Sunday morning mass. Turkey's interior minister condemned the despicable attack, saying investigation had been launched as police were still searching for the suspect. The motive for the attack was not immediately clear. Meanwhile, the Pope offered his support and prayers after the attack, expressing his closeness to the community of the Santa Maria Drapers Church at the end of his weekly prayer at the Vatican. Worshippers were attending the mass when 2 gunmen reportedly wearing sky masks entered the 19th century church and opened fire. The Turkish Interior Minister Ali Yerlikaya said that an individual identified as Siti, who was among those attending today's mass, died in the attack, adding that the authorities were working to capture the assailants who fled the scene after the shooting. Several other worshippers were injured before the attackers got away. The mayor of Istanbul, Ekrem İmamoğlu, in a strong term condemned the attack. President Tayyip Erdogan also expressed condolences over attack and said the necessary steps were being taken to hunt down the killers. Ukraine's security service says it has uncovered corruption in an arm purchased by the military worth about $40 million. The SBU said 5 senior people in the defense ministry and at an arms supplier were being investigated. It said the defense officials signed a contract for 100,000 mortar shells in August 2022. Payment was made in advance with some funds transferred abroad, but arms were not delivered to the service. Corruption has been a major stumbling block in Ukraine's bid to join the European Union. The SBU said an investigation had exposed officials of the Ministry of Defense and managers of arms suppliers, Arsenal, who stole nearly 1.5 billion hryvnias in the purchase of shields. According to the investigation, former and current high-ranking officials of the Ministry of Defense and heads of companies were involved in embezzlement, it said. The SBU said despite the contract for the shell having been agreed 6 months after Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine, not a single artillery shell was ever sent. One of the suspects was detained while attempting to leave Ukraine and is currently in custody, the SBU said. Ukraine's prosecutor general says the stolen funds have been seized and will be returned to the defense budgets. Issues surrounding corruption had dogged Ukraine for years. Ukrainian President Zelensky cited the fight against corruption as one of his main priorities when he came to power in 2019. The latest allegation come as Republicans in the United States push back on President Joe Biden's effort to send more aid to Ukraine. In August, President Zelensky fired all the officials in charge of military recruitment to end a system in which some people were being allowed to escape conscription. Ukraine was ranked 116th out of the 180 countries in a 2022 corruption perception index by campaigning and research organization Transparency International, while anti-corruption efforts were beginning to make a difference.
Couples have been charged to seek the wisdom of God for a successful marriage. Archbishop Joseph Ojo gave the charge at the solemnization of holy matrimony of Miss Faith Igboyibo and Mr. Fidelis Agbabi, the son of Bishop Fidelis Agbabi of the Cathedral of Joyful Faith, Obiarugo, Ukwane local government area. The report. Archbishop Ojo, who joined the couple, said a successful marriage was made up of a man and woman dedicated to the word of life and wisdom from God and not man. Bishop Ojo said that when God leads in the home, he builds it and makes it successful, while emphasizing that a marriage could also succeed when the couple lived with deep understanding of each other, remained faithful, communicate with themselves, live peacefully and respect each other.
Every wise woman builds her house, but the foolish woman plucks it down with her own hands. The house built by wisdom. If you see a marriage that has been successful, you know, there are two wise people in that relationship, or one wise man or one wise woman. But it's my prayer that you will be the wise person amongst the two.
At a reception for guests, the chairman on the occasion, Honorable Fidelis Tilije, commended the couple for taking the bold step of marriage at the prime of their youth, as he urged them to always put God first.
There's nothing much to add, because I do know that they have already wedded in church, and these children are children of bishops. There's no much spiritual to lay down here. This marriage will be a blessing. That's about that. And I do know that this marriage is growing in promise. And at the end of the day, so many children that you desire.
The couple, who expressed their gratitude to family and friends, made known what attracted them to each other in an interview.
Because of her nose, she has a very beautiful nose, then her very tiny eyes. She's a very lovely person. She has a very charming smile, and also a very kind.
Because of the home I came, we are Christians, and it's lovely to meet another person that shares the same mindset. So that was very interesting. It's loving, it's caring, it's understanding, it's my playmate.
Family members and friends expressed their joy and enjoined the couple to emulate their parents and not deviate from their backgrounds and upbringing.
I almost cried seeing my baby, because it's the last baby of the house. I was always sharing tears. Seeing my baby becoming a man, so it's a very happy and joyous day for me. The man of God coach. They need to study each other, learn each other, and live amicably with each other.
I feel so proud. This my baby is my last born, and he carries my name, he carries my profession, everything he carries. So I was happy today that he has also joined me to carry a wife. Bishop Joseph Emariame Ojo came to join them. The son of a bishop, the daughter of a bishop, so we don't expect anything less from them. The path of the just is like a shining light, that shine brighter and brighter. We see better married, better children from them.
They should love God first, because God first for everyone. They should trust in God.
Let's join our business news desk for happenings in the business sector.
The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has said that even though Nigeria and other low-income debtors have yet to request any debt relief recently, high debt servicing costs remain a growing challenge. In a new report, the multilateral lender remarked that the good news was that there had not been any notable request by a low-income country for comprehensive debt relief since Ghana's over a year ago. On policy reforms aimed towards increasing revenue, the IMF commended Nigeria and 3 other countries for recent subsidy reforms that would create space for development spending. It, however, expressed worry that many countries were lagging behind, especially in efforts to increase revenues, such as broadening the tax base, reducing tax exemptions, and increasing the efficiency of tax administration. For instance, the typical sub-Saharan Africa countries raised only 13% of gross domestic product in revenues in 2022, compared with 18% in other emerging economies and developing countries and 27% in advanced economies. These will directly improve countries' key debt metrics and ensure they can avoid a costly debt crisis. According to the Debt Management Office, Nigeria's public debt profile increased to 87.91 trillion naira at the end of the third quarter of 2023. In 2024, the federal government plans to spend 8.25 trillion naira on debt servicing. The figure represents 45% of projected income and has drawn criticism from economic experts, including the World Bank, which warned that unless drastic reforms were implemented, Nigeria's debt service to revenue ratio will hit 160% by 2027. It stated financing pressures due to relatively high interest payments and the pace at which low-income countries need to repay debts were straining budgets. That, the lender said, prevented those countries from spending more on essential services or the critical investment needed to attract business, create jobs, improve prosperity, and build climate resilience. While the scale of the burden differs greatly across countries, it's generally about 2.5 times higher than a decade earlier. This means for a typical low-income borrower, the share has risen to about 14% from 6% and as much as 25% from about 9% in some economies. This is one of the key indicators used in the framework for assessing debt sustainability that signals a country might be at risk of needing financial support from the IMF or of missing a debt payment. It, however, expressed worry that many countries were lagging behind. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has paid a total sum of 156.548 billion naira to its workers as employee benefits during a 16-month period that ended on December 31, 2022. It disclosed this in its just released consolidated and separate financial statement for the 16-month period that ended December 31, 2022, adding that the company made a total revenue of 8.816 trillion naira during the review period. It could be recalled that the NNPCL made a profit of 2.5 trillion naira in 2022, which it described as the highest profit since inception of the national oil firm. In a very concise one-page document obtained from the oil firm in Abuja and at the time titled NNPC Financial Performance, the company stated that it posted a loss of 803 billion naira in 2018. This reduced to 1.7 billion naira loss in 2019, which was then followed by a jump to 287 billion naira profit in 2022, while the company described this as its turning point. In 2021, the oil firm's profit grew to 675.1 billion naira. It said it was assurance, adding that the profit continued to rise, hitting 2.5 trillion naira in 2022. The national oil firm said the 2.5 trillion naira was its highest profit since inception. Meanwhile, an analysis of the full financial statement of oil company yesterday showed that NNPCL paid 156.548 billion naira as employees' benefits during the 16 months, while the case it generated from the operations was put at 4.818 trillion naira. Although the actual staff strength of the oil company could not be ascertained yesterday, it was established that in May 2020, the firm disclosed that its employees were a little above 6,600. It had stated that the time that it had 6,621 workers, both at its headquarters and across all its subsidiary divisions and offices nationwide. The firm disclosed this in its reports of compliance with the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative open data requirements released in Abuja. Further analysis of the latest financial report showed that the income tax paid by the firm was 102.56 billion naira proceeds from the sale of property, plant, and equipment, 90.74 billion naira purchase of exploration and evaluation assets, 165.64 billion naira, and purchase of oil and gas property at 984.24 billion naira. The Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, ACON, has debunked a claim that it was charging 3 million naira as advert vetting fees. The head corporate affairs of ACON, Winifred Akpan, in a statement described such report as false, malicious, and misrepresentation of the vetting fee process. Akpan, who stated that the vetting fee was 35,000 naira and not 3 million naira, also noted that deterrent fees was not required for an advert produced in the country. The statement further disclosed that information about vetting fee and associate rates were available at the Secretariat and the organization offices nationwide. It is part of ACON's effort aimed at encouraging the use of local talents and production of advertisements in Nigeria as part of the industry's development and growth program. The statement added that an advertisement being produced in the country, no deterrent fee was required for such advertisements. Organizations were enjoined to embrace the use of local talents and production of all advertisements, advertising and marketing communication directed or targeted at the Nigeria markets.
Now let's join our entertainment news desk for the latest news on entertainment.
Nigerian singer Simi Kosoko, popularly known as Simi, has expressed her support for intending couples living together before marriage. She clarified that cohabitation will enable intended couples to understand each other better before deciding to marry. In the latest episode of the Tea with Tea podcast, Simi disclosed that she was living with her husband, Adekunle Gold, before they officially tied the knot. Simi said she used to go over to Adekunle Gold's place for them to spend time together. She said she knows that religious people might not agree with her, but that she personally thinks that people who want to get married should live together for a little bit before they do that. Simi said the way people are when they are outside in their best behavior is different from how they are when they are cranky and they haven't eaten, or when they wake up in the morning, or when they are snoring. Veteran Nollywood actress Victoria Iyama has opened up on how her ex-husband, Gordon Okrim, will often return home with his girlfriend during her marriage. In a conversation with Jude Jidomo, she recounted the unending domestic abuse she faced at the hands of her ex-husband. Iyama cited instances when her ex-husband would bring home his girlfriend just to intimidate her in their matrimonial home. She added that her ex-husband would ask her to cook for his mistress and had insisted on fish as the protein. He would note that meat was not healthy to eat. The Nollywood veteran advised women to stay away from abusive marriages. Nigerian singer and former signee of Davido Music Worldwide,
DMW Lefroge has appealed to his former boss online, asking for a second chance. In 2020, Lefroge faced accusations of assault from his ex-girlfriend, Gift Kamel. Kamel's brother Michael took to social media to allege that Lefroge had assaulted Kamel multiple times. He shared images showing his sister's badly bruised face as evidence of the abuse. Subsequently, the singer was arraigned before Ayaba Magistrate Court and remanded in Ikoyi prison. In response, Davido, who had zero tolerance for hitting women, terminated Lefroge's contract with his record label, DMW. However, yesterday, the singer took to his Instagram page to assert his innocence and pleaded with Davido for another opportunity to revive his career. Meanwhile, following Lefroge's appeal for reinstatement and telling his own side of the story, Davido has followed him back on Instagram. From the entertainment news desk, Irene Onejeta reporting.
The remains of Ogweshi Anthony Okoli, an elder brother and elder sibling of the member representing the Anyocha Oshimi Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives, Honorable Ngozi Okoli, have been laid to rest in his hometown, Umuaji, Asaba. Governor Sheriff Oboriwori, represented by the Secretary to the State Government, Dr. Kingsley Emu, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, were among personalities at the burial ceremony. In his tribute, Governor Oboriwori condoled the immediate and extended Okoli family and the entire Asaba Kingdom over their loss, noting that death was inevitable. He urged the bereaved family to take solace in the fact that the deceased lived a purposeful life. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, represented by the member representing the Ndokwa Ukwane Federal Constituency, Honorable Nnamdi Ezechi, described the late Ogweshi Anthony Okoli as an upright and industrious man who would be greatly missed. Honorable Abbas expressed his condolence to the member representing the Anyocha Oshimili Federal Constituency, Honorable Ngozi Okoli, and prayed God to grant the family comfort in this time of grief. The chief mourner, Honorable Ngozi Okoli, thanked Governor Oboriwori, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, and others who shared in his pains and his elder brother's passing, which he described as a huge loss not only to the Okoli family, but the Asaba community as a whole. Thought for the day: the one who fails to heed advice in the private would receive a public disgrace. And that ends our bulletin for tonight. Thank you for watching. I am Deborah Uwalowo.